All of us have been there at one time or another. Pickaxe in hand, ready to excavate 30 square miles of earth to build a giant golden monument to ourselves. And maybe make it light up with lamps, too. Others have undertaken the task of designing a redstone-powered contraption only to fill up that freshly dug 30 square mile crater with wiring just to open a door. What if there was a better way? Well, there is, and it's called RedPower. RedPower has everything the working man needs to make his Minecraft world a better place. Now, you might be telling yourself, but strange, faceless announcer person, I'm not a man. I might be a young boy or girl. Well, now you're a man. Welcome to the club. Now, as a working man, you're gonna need better tools than some sissy limp noodle diamond pickaxe. You could start with these gem tools, perfect for the miner who wants to tell the world, yeah, I've got a pair, and they're just that big. They might not last as long as diamond, but they look a heck of a lot better. They come in sapphire, ruby, and emerald. They can be made without having to dig to the Earth's core, and they won't come up short where it counts, like wood or stone. Now, let's talk about redstone. Ever tried to run redstone much farther than a stick-arm wuss can throw a snowball? Have you ever run a couple lines of redstone next to each other, only to have them connect everywhere? Pretty frustrating for sure. No, there's no need to create dirt grids and cobblestone pillars to wire up your latest doomsday device. Red wire has got you covered. Run it for miles without losing a signal. Wrap it up in any manly color you can think of, and run it next to other wires. Heck, you can even bundle it up so multiple signals only take up a little space instead of a lot. Still want more options? How about jacketing your wire in your favorite block material, whether it be wood, cobble, obsidian, or anything else? Yep, you can run these jacketed wires anywhere you please, and if you make some hollow cover panels to go with them, you can even run them through the walls without making the place look like someone didn't quite make it to the toilet on time. Real men keep their place looking professional, and that's what this is all about. Cover plates like the ones I've got here are certainly good for keeping your wires tucked away instead of flapping in the wind. But a creative mind can put them to other uses. For example, secret tunnels. Now, all this talk of wiring is great and all if all you want to do is make a compact military-grade dispenser cannon. But what if you want to do better? You'll need better tools, of course. Tools like logic gates that only take up 1 square instead of 30. Alloy furnaces to produce the sort of professional-grade alloys you'll need to start off right. A screwdriver to situate machines you place however you like, and fine-tune them too. Since we're talking about better tools, let's talk machines. We all mine materials. Who doesn't like descending into a cool, dark mine shaft ready to dig out a few more rows of stone? Well, f*** that, because I don't. It's time to make a manly machine do the boring work for you. For example, this here is a block breaker. It'll smash up anything in front of it and spit it back out. Hook up some pneumatic tubes to the back, and you can lead it off to a nearby chest. Stick it on the end of a frame machine, and you've got an automatic driller. Time to relax in the shade with a nice cool bucket of water while the machines do all the work. Of course, slinging piles of rock and ores down a pipe is all well and good, but only an amateur dumps his hull in one messy chest. You're a man's man now, and that means keeping your place looking professional, remember? Man up and use a sorter. I've got this one here configured to sort out diamonds, which we want, from this other sissy crap, which we don't want. Now, this chest will only be filled to bursting with the finest cut gems, with all that other worthless junk going into my glowing orange storage unit here. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do these fancy new machines get power? Surely redstone isn't manly enough to drive these highly sophisticated devices? You're right, it isn't. That's why we use bluetricity. Gather up some power with solar panels, run it through these blue alloy wires into a nearby machine to power it, or a battery box to store that power for other uses. Uses like powering this manly blue electric furnace, which can cook whatever you please without having to worry about pesky things like digging for coal, or falling into lava while you were trying to scoop it up. Sure, it needs power instead of fossil fuels, but that's the future, and manly men are all about the future. Since we're talking about the future, nothing says I'm 2 steps ahead of you like this futuristic frame. Now, you might think this is just an ordinary set of girders in a box, but that's the kind of thinking that made you fall in that ravine last week. Everyone saw that, and everyone laughed at your girly scream as you fell to your pansy death. So, what are frames good for, you ask? Well, if you hook them up to this here frame motor, you can move them around however you like. They will also move any other frames attached to the one being moved, as well as any blocks attached to those. That's right, you could put your whole house on these things and push it around the countryside if you so desired. See a hill you want your home on? Drag it up there by force, the manly way. Use frames. Speaking of manly, remember those block breakers and pneumatic tubes we talked about earlier? Stick a set of those on the end of a frame machine, and you've got yourself a driller. Add a few more motors, and you've got an automatic mining machine. Stick a deployer on the end, and you could be dispensing TNT on your enemy's village before they even knew you've logged into the server. Those are just some basic ideas. But real men don't give away their secrets. Using buckets to move water around is all well and good if you don't mind living in the Stone Age. We're in the future, and the future uses water pumps. This here water pump doesn't just move water around from one place to another though, it actually creates liquid physics. That's right, your Minecraft world isn't manly enough to have water flow like it should, and the pump isn't having any of it. Dispense water up to this glass container, and it will spill over the edges, filling up the second tank with real water source blocks, cleverly pathing out the most realistic way for the water to disperse. Give it enough time, and you could turn this whole valley into the Pacific Ocean. That's a man's swimming pool. Of course, all this talk about the future wouldn't amount to much if there weren't some fancy computers running everything now, would it? Good thing RedPower has those too. These fancy machines are real programmable computers, with their own handmade operating system designed by Ellerum, who was so manly she could twist your head clean off with her mind. These computers could be hooked up to anything redstone, and be programmed to do all sorts of stuff, like control a light display, run an automatic door, or even automatically control an entire mining operation at the push of a button. Of course, you've got to be pretty smart to program it to do what you want, and I'm too manly to be smart. Which is a nice way of saying I'm too stupid to program, but I'll punch you in the face for thinking it. I've talked about RedPower quite a lot today, and let's face it, you've wanted to get this mod even before I started. If you didn't, I'll bet you do now. If you still don't want to try out this manly man's ultimate toolkit, you may as well get your dress out of the attic and go back to suffocating under gravel. Us men have work to do.